Hey guys, Gmo here, and today we're going to be looking at the best odd decks for all classes. Okay guys, so these are the decks that we're going to be looking at. So there's one or two for each class. Some classes are harder to find. So for example, Paladin here only has one, because I mean it's kind of hard making something else work, because it really revolves around the aggro dudes, you know. Same thing with Warlock. So yeah, let's get into it. And yeah guys, I know it's a long video, so there will be timestamps down in the description if you do want to skip to your favorite class. And guys, if you like this type of video, please hit that like and subscribe button to let me know what works and what doesn't. So the gameplay that you will be seeing in the screen will be the Heal Druid. Okay guys, so we do have the Odd Druid here. So there's two versions of Odd Druid that I really enjoy playing. So we do have the Heal Druid and the Control Druid. So the Heal Druid is like a mid-range deck that just takes advantage of the heal synergies and the odd synergies. And the Control deck, you know, just hero power. It's like a weapon every turn, so you can just really keep control that way. So with these two synergies, you do get to run the best part of both of them. Though with the Heal Druid, you get the Crystal Stag, and with the Odd package, you do get the Gloom Stag, 2 stags. And they're both very powerful. 5 mana, 4/4, rush, 2 bodies, nuts. Gloom Stag, beefy ass taunt, and you could heal back up. So it helps you in the control game as well a lot. Okay, so this Heal Druid, insanely fun to play. So let me explain the synergies. Crystal Power, it can single-handedly heal you, or if you need the flexibility, 2 damage to something, get through a taunt, you name it. Crystallizer, great turn 1 play. It lets you do it and then go in your turn 2 and get armor so that you're already damaged. So then you could heal back up, right? And get your effect going through. That's one of the biggest things, but the Crystallizer does the work. And it also buffs you up your Spellstone. Okay, Spellstone, OPSL, Mixtures of Mixtures. It gets a lot of heal synergy. It heals both of you guys. It triggers the Stag. Spirit of the Raptor, we do need some draw power, and it could potentially get you 2 cards. So that's great. 2 cards for 1 mana. Druid of the Sight, most of the time you're going to be a taunt. Or against Druids, you want to go rush, right? For that 4 attack. Feral Rage, to reach for lethal or extend your health, your armor. Then you have Fungalmancer, heal synergies, Life Weaver, draw power. Modes, insanely strong. If you guys want, you can put 2 copies of this. Turtle is just here to damage my face. You know, love that stuff. And then Savage Roar, extend your lethal, helps you reach for. War Druid Loyalty, most of the time you're going to go for taunt. Against big dudes, you're going to go for poisonous. Flexible as hell. Stag, Stag number 1, the Crystal Stag, OP as hell, 5 mana, 8/8. Druid of the Claw, most of the time taunt or reach for lethal. You know, big boy, big beefy taunt. Celiax, you're great removal, and it gets you heals. Dr. Boom, big dude to throw in there for turn 7, so you actually have something, you know, help you push a little bit. And I'm not going to focus too much on the Control Druid, but just a Control Druid, and you're weaponing up every turn, basically hitting your opponent for 2 damage too. They just keep removing, just like any control deck, and you can potentially win with your Jade out of win condition if you delay the game long enough. Alright guys, so we do have some tech cards here, and you can use these if you don't have a certain legendary, or you want to replace something, or if you want to counter control, aggro, you name it, or you can mess around with the playstyle, right? I put these, but there's some other ones, of course. I didn't put all of them. They don't fit in my screen. So going over them, Starfall, if you're going against a lot of aggro. Tar Creeper, aggro. Greedy Sprite, it's great against control and gets your ball rolling. Lothar helps you close out the game against control. Feral Rage, you already run one, but another one doesn't hurt you and helps you reach for lethal. And Malfurion, if you want to go that route, but I don't recommend it as much. On control I do, because it gets you 3 armor. But you lose the damage in the same turn, so it might not be that worth it, but if you like them. Alright guys, so up next we do have the Odd Hunter here. Super fun to play. The gameplay you will be seeing will be the Carpet Hobgoblin. The best way to run it, in my opinion. You could run it the other way, but I'll fuck with this one a little more. Alright guys, so the main gameplay of Odd Hunter here, it's you have a bunch of 1/1s. So you want to play all the 1/1s in your hands first, and then after that you can start hero power whenever your hand is relatively empty or it curves out well. Because if you start hero powering and turn 3 you just play a 1-drop hero power, you're better off playing 3 1-drops, because you win more board and you get more damage overall. So yeah, don't do that. So especially with the Hobgoblin version, you do want to keep control, because the Hobgoblin keeps you want to keep him alive, so you could generate more +2/+2, you know, get those nice buffs. Carpet is also really nice. One thing that's cool is you can coin out the hobgoblin, and then go carpet, and then it makes a fat carpet, and then you just go ham. Because now you have rush, you have this big ass carpet with a bunch of health that has good attack, and if you do get that combo, you pretty much do win the game. So around turn 4 or 5, like I said, that's whenever you do want to start hero powering. It really makes up for like a card. Someone's like, you don't need to draw more cards because at that point you already did half of his health. You're just pushing that last little bit. You also have Leroy Jenkins, my boy. You got some weapons. So the key cards for this deck will of course be the Hobgoblin and the Carpet. Fireflies do play a big role because it does give you another 1-drop to place back on the field. Spring Ball, same thing. Amazing. After that, Owl helps you get through the Prees. Any taunts, the Warlocks. Pushing Power, Kill Command. Fel Reaver, you do want to play against certain classes, but not always. So you might just not. Halasi, you know, actually, late game you could play this. You play your Carpet, and then you just have a handful of them, and then you could just make a comeback that way if you so need to. I like him because he's just cool. And after that, that's pretty much key cards for this deck. Odd Face Hunter, I don't really like this deck too much. Same gameplay, play as many 1-drops as you can. Around turn 4 or 5, start hitting phase, and you do have more finishers right here, so you could push a little bit afterwards. We do have, so you can do hero power twice, do your hero power twice as strong in here. Leroy Jenkins, Loathev. Alright guys, so for tech cards, we do have the Hydra here, which is also, you can take out the Fel Reaver if you don't have it. Hydra does have Beast synergy, and it's better against control, but not against aggro. Against aggro, they could just smack into it. It's like they're smacking your face. Unleash the Hounds, you need to run 2 copies if it's a lot of aggro. I kind of recommend it. I almost wanted to put it in, but I find myself just losing anyways. But it higher your win rate against aggro. Fel Reaver, if you want to put another one against control, it's nice. Let's go King Crush. OG hits the face really hard during the late game. Tundra Rhino, it creates like a... like they have to remove it, but I find it to be too much mana to keep on this deck. I want to start hitting the ground faster, hitting the ground running. Stitch Tracker, it's good against control. Alright guys, so we do have the Odd Mage next. So we do have 2 decks here. We have the Odd Tempo Mage and the Odd Control Mage, and by the way, the gameplay you will be looking at, it will be the Control Mage. Alright guys, so let's get started with the tempo list. So you guys know the basic plan for tempo. You start off strong and then you finish off the late game, right? So you have many ways to do that with this deck, such as the Flame Waker, set up minions. So you do run the Ray of Frost, so it does slow down 2 minions, for example, so you can get 2 hits to phase if you need to, or you can get more synergies with the Flame Waker, the Pyromantic. And you do run a lot of ways to close out the game, such as Loathev. You have the Archmage, you have the Firelands, you have the Jamalai. I hope I said it right. You can hit face with the Forgotten Torch, do 3 damage, get 6 damage back in your deck. You know, hit him on the face with it. There is a lot of spell power too, so you might want to take advantage of that. And your hero power could start pinging people down, so that helps you reach a lot. Alright, so the key cards to put this deck together would be the Fire Eater. It makes your hero power do 4, which is insane. It helps you remove a lot of stuff to have 4 health. You have the Black Cat, which is an insane card running in any Odd Mage that you have. So it does give you the spell power and draw. It's like a mini Azure Drake. You do run the Azure Drake, which is insane. Flame Waker, insane. Another card that makes the deck is the Pyromantic. And then the last one that makes it is the Jamalai. That thing is strong as hell. You get a Ragnaros out of that for 7 mana. And you get a 4/4 while at it, so it's a pretty good deal. So with the control deck, right, you do just want to control the game the whole time until you can play your Lich, and then your Lich little by little will get the kills. Like, no matter what you're playing against, the Lich King will almost outvalue them unless they play really, really smart. So with this control deck, you also do run all the powerful hero power cards, right? But you also have the big spell synergy, so you could go into the Dragon Caller, for example. That's one way to do it, and you also have the Dragon's Fury to help you board clear. And normally it's going to board clear for 5 to 7 and up, so it's an insane board clear for 5 mana. Yeah, other than that, it's pretty straightforward, so let's just look at the tech cards. Alright guys, so for tech cards, we do have 5 cards here. So we'll start off with the Ice Block. Really strong against pretty much against any aggro. It helps you buy a turn so you can burn them in the face. Then Volcanic Potion. helps you clear out a lot. I recommend this in the tempo list if you're running against a lot of aggro. You have the Frost Nova as well. It can go tempo or control. It helps you against aggro. Arcane Intellect, that will help you against control every time in both decks. And then you have the Sunreaver War Mage, which I recommend to run in the control mage mostly. And then you do have 4 spells in here that are 3 mana each, so if you do want to run them in the control list, the Dragonfire can potentially get weaker. So for that reason, I'd rather just run the Sunreaver and maybe just put 2 copies of that. So another thing you could do is you could drop the big spell package, your Dragon Fury and your 9 mana card, I don't remember her name, Dragon Caller, and just drop in those 3 mana cost spells and some other cards, and maybe drop the Voodoo Doll perhaps and customize it. So yeah, on to the next one. Alright guys, so we do have the Odd Paladin here. So this deck is pretty insane. I mean, this deck is, I think it's the best deck in Wild right now. And you just literally just destroy anyone. Like, you just look at the gameplay that we got going on here. Like, the new inclusion of Never Surrender just bumped up the deck. The only matchup that I actually lose, well, I mean, that I have a bad win rate against, I would say, would be the Jade Druid. I feel like the Jade Druid with the Spreading Plague is pretty nasty, and the Poison Seed as well, so it turns all your dudes into 2/2s and then Spreading Plagues over it, for example. And I mean, your Never Surrender doesn't really do anything against those trees, and if those silver hands are already buffed, they lose their tag and they get nerfed down to 2/2s. So this deck is pretty good as it is. I tried mixing it up a couple ways, but it just didn't feel great. Like, the cards on this deck just fall together so perfectly. So then this is the list that you get from Tempo Storm. I played it and I can get to legend like top 20 with this. This deck is insane. So the key cards of this deck, I mean, everything is pretty much great, but then the Never Surrender is an extremely good inclusion. The Muster for Battle is extremely OP for turn 3. Quartermaster, nuts. Like, these cards are all nuts, right? But I'm sorry I keep saying that, but that's just how nuts it is. Vine Cleaver does push against control. And I mean, you could put another owl in there if you want. I don't really recommend it, but let's just jump into the tech cards. Okay guys, so I didn't come up with another deck list, but there is technically another playstyle you could play. I tried it out. It was not that great, which would be the Secret Paladin. The odd version is still nowhere near as good as just running Secret, but it's just another thing you can mess around with. So going over the cards here, we do have Aldor, which is insane against things like even Warlock. Leroy, it'll help you push that last bit of damage. This will be a good card you could tech in if you want to, if you're having trouble, if you want to just end the game right there. Competitor Spirit, it's another thing that throws people off with Never Surrender. It's actually pretty good for the mind game plays. Commander, if you're running a lot of secrets, if you're running more than one. Same thing with Never Sacrifice and Avenge. But yeah, that'll do. Let's get on the next one, boys. Alright guys, so next up we do have the Odd Priest here. Priest is one of my favorite classes, but unfortunately the heal for 4 is not that great. You could play a control variance to it that's boring and it sucks. So I have some mid-range stuff right here. So this is juicy, boys. So we have let's start with the dragon. The dragon is probably the better one of the two. It basically just play dragons. They have big health. You got some taunts, and then I mean you just make efficient trades and then keep healing them back up, right? So just make very efficient trades. You do have the Ysera, the Night Scale, Matriarch. It's really well with the hero power, works nicely. And then yeah, you do have the option for the Inner Fire Kill, and you do run the Glitter Moth. The Glitter Moth will put together these decks. So the Glitter Moth, if you do have a board, which sometimes you actually do, you double them. Nice, right? Okay. So from there on, you could run Void Reaper if you want. I don't run it in the Dragon Priest list, but the Void Reaper will be nice. So then you could potentially OTK, or you could just do it with the Inner Fire, right? So yeah, that's the Dragon Priest. And then we do have the combo deck, which mainly revolves around putting big health creatures, keeping them nice and beefy, and then the Swipperoo on them when he least suspects it, and just bang, you know. And that's pretty much the gameplay. Some key cards here might be the Void Reaper, the Glitter Moth for sure. The Night Scale Matriarch is pretty strong, gives you late game. Other than that, just pretty standard dragon list and the combo list. Injured Blade Master is pretty good in here, for example. And yeah, let's just look at the tech cards. Alright guys, so for tech cards, up first we have Lyra, which is really strong if you find yourself just running out of resources. I didn't put it in the beginning because I mean I have enough trouble fighting for board, and this is not that beefy, right? Then you have the Convincing Infiltrator, very strong against aggro, but the 2 attack just doesn't cut it that much for me. He does have a lot of health, so you could flip that or double it, which is great. It has good synergy, but just doesn't make the cut for me enough. Excavated Evil, good board clear, recommended if you're going against a lot of aggro. Same thing with Mass Hysteria. And Dragonmaw Scorcher, I think is how you say it. This guy's amazing. If you on the Dragon deck, if you want to tech something else in, tech in this man right here. He got 6 health too, so it's great for that. And if you're having trouble against all those big taunts, big prees, big warlocks, whatever it is, silence them. And an honorable mention would be the Psychic Scream. If you go on to the next one. Alright guys, so up next we do have the Adro here. This deck is insane. It used to be even more insane before. Now it's getting knocked down a peg a little bit by Paladin in my opinion. You can still run this a lot, just gotta keep hitting phase. So yeah, this deck is pretty much all minions. It's got like 1 deadly poison, so the prep nerf doesn't really affect this that much. Some key cards we do have here would be the Buccaneers, insanely strong 1-drop. It sets up for your Fire Win X next turn, it demands an answer, and it pumps out your patches. So that's insanely strong. Henge Clan Thug is insanely strong. One thing you gotta keep in mind, if you weapon up in 2 and you have a Henge Clan, just don't waste your weapon charges on phase if you can have synergies with them, right? So that's what you do with that. Vile Spineslayer, insanely good. You have a lot of 1-drops, so you can easily combo that to get through those ugly taunts. Lothef, it destroys big prees because. So yeah, boys, let's look at some tech cards. Alright guys, so we don't have that many tech cards here, so let's start off with Dr. Boom. Big boy, if you need to keep pushing against control, this guy's great. He's an OG. Phantom Knives, if you still want to try to fight against those pallies, go for that. Shady Dealer, it's a very strong pirate. You may just look at these stats, this boy's big. Myra's, I actually like Myra's a lot on this list, but Temple Storm doesn't, so. Alright guys, just a little side note, I did try out the Beast package and the Elemental package, and I just found out it was nowhere nearly as good as this. Don't really recommend this, but yeah, let's go on to the next deck. Guys, up next we do have the Odd Shaman here. So Odd Shaman is pure shenanigans right here at its best. So we do have 2 decks. We have the Shutterwalk and we have the Overload. I think the Overload performs a little bit better, but there is some room to tweak around with the Shutterwalk Shaman if you guys will. So the gameplay that you will be seeing will be the Overload Shaman. Okay, but let's get started with the Shutterwalk one, right? Okay, so this deck, it plays kind of weird. You just play a lot of totems. You totem up, you stall the game, you have some AoE board clears, and then Doppelganger Evolve, for example, could be your swing, or you can go for the Shutterwalks. Normally, it duplicates itself with just big bodies. After you board clear, you heal yourself, you make lots of dudes, and then you evolve them. That's pretty much the core of it. The Stormbringer is great. Right now the nerf hasn't came, the buff hasn't came in, so it's still 7 mana, but you could run it at 5, which is insane. That will boost it up a little bit more. It's basically like an evolve deck, and you can choose whatever you want. So the cool part is whenever you already have a board, you could keep your board alive by just having healing totems. You could just have like 3 healing totems out, make efficient trades each turn, and then eventually you win that way. If you so wish for, if you're going for burst, spell power, if you want a 1/1, most of the time you never go for that, or a taunt to keep a guy alive, that's great too, or to keep your face from getting smacked. So this other deck that we have here, the Overlord Shaman, is actually my favorite one out of these 2. So this one plays kind of like a tempo list, and you do threaten a lot with a spell power totem because they know if that thing stays alive, they're getting burned like hella hard in the face. So you just want to aggro. It's pretty much tempo, and you do run the Arcane Watcher in this list, which is pretty interesting. So you could just have infinite spell power each turn, so it makes that 3 mana 5/6 I believe, and it hits hard to the face and it's hard to remove. So I actually really recommend this. Sometimes you can get the Snow Fury out. Yeah guys, let's go over some key cards here. So the Shadowwalk Shaman key cards basically revolve around evolving. your boy the Shadowwalk. Unstable Evolution is nuts. And I mean, that's what your deck revolves around. I mean, you do have Thrall in that deck. I did put that in there. Just triggers another evolve chain with the Shadowwalk. I don't know if you guys like that. You could remove it if you guys will. There's going to be some tech cards. Yeah, it's a pretty weird deck. You just kind of do things as you go. And then in the Overload Shaman, the key cards, Unbound Elemental is great. That boy just keeps getting beefier and beefier. Then you have your Tunnel Trug, another mans that just keeps getting beefy. You have your Evolves, Arcane Watchers, nuts. You have to constantly pump out the spell powers. They basically have taunt because they have to get rid of them. And if they don't, you burn them in the face for a lot. And you also do run the blood loss. So having a lot of totems isn't all that bad. So yeah, let's get into the tech cards. Alright guys, so for the tech cards here, let's get started with the Volcanic Burst. So this card is insane if you do want to evolve it. It has synergies with Overload as well. I really recommend this one. Against aggro is great. Against control, not so much unless you can evolve it. Swamp Queen Hagatha. It's really good against the control matchup. It really keeps you rolling. Unstable Evolution, highly recommended. It could be like an AoE evolve, and whatever doesn't evolve into what you want, just keep going at it. You have Echo. Shadowwalk, you could take it out, put it in. You could even put it in the tempo list, but I mean, it's whatever you like. Maybe you put some good synergies in there, find some good stuff that I didn't. You have the Blood Loss, which I really recommend actually, but I don't know how many you want to run. I recommend only running one. Earthshock, I almost want to say it's a must, but if you guys want to add it, so run one or two. Yeah. Alright guys, so up next we do have the Odd Warlock here. So Odd Warlock, it's pretty hard to do anything with it. So we have this deck list here that pretty much just looks like a cube Warlock. I mean, you don't get much benefit of not taking 2 damage. That's so minor compared to having all your even cards gone. Yeah, that's why I could only come up with one deck list, and I experimented a lot. But this deck list actually didn't perform all that bad for me. It does have some good stuff going for it. Like I said, it does have the cube package, and it also does run stuff like Rafan. So, you know, you get back your even cards, right? Great. So the main advantage by having the odd hero power means that you won't take any damage. So then you can feel free to take more cards that do damage to your face, and you will have more cards in your hand because you're just constantly hero powering no matter what. And then you could also take advantage of the discard thing as well. So just focus more about clearing, and you don't really play the game until like turn 5. Oh, and one more thing, since you do draw a lot, and you could draw carelessly every turn. If you get the Skull of Minari, your win rate just shot up a lot, right? Because, I mean, you could just constantly draw and draw and draw and draw over, like, without any punishment, really. So you could just pop off with that. And we also do run the OG Jiraxis, which is like the bougie hero card. And, yeah, that's all I can say about this. So let's look at some tech cards. Maybe you guys can make this work. Alright, so for the tech cards, we only have 4 cards. They're mainly against aggro, but let's start off with the Cobalt Librarian. So this thing is a great card. It helps you trade, and it draws a card. It's a very, very good card. But the thing is, you do have a lot of draw power already, so you don't really need this. So I debated to put it in or take it out, so I just left it out. You guys, maybe you guys want it in there. Abyssal Enforcer is just really good for board clear. Although it's a big dude, it's 7 mana for 3 damage to everything AoE. It might just be too late by that time. Tar Lurker, just a big old beefy dude for 5 mana. It does buy you a couple turns until you can get yourself settled again. Spreading Magnus, I just got that because Ad Paladin is just running rampant everywhere, and I just don't like them. But yeah, let's get into the next one. Alright guys, so at last we do have the Odd Warrior here. So you guys know this deck is pretty standard. This deck is causing chaos in standard and wild everywhere it's at. It's just extremely strong. So the version that I enjoy the most out of these two would be the quest version, because then your win conditions not just keep armoring up. You become Ragnaros with a lot of armor, which is dope. But the win rate with the Quest Warrior does go down a little bit because it just takes too much. Like, it's just not optimal. You're better off just clearing his stuff and then playing Dr. Boom. So key cards of these two decks. So we're looking at here the Super Collider. This thing is insanely strong. The Boomsday project was really good for the Odd Warrior. Dr. Boom is insane. It pretty makes both of these decks and any other warrior deck actually. So your key cards here would be like your Mega Assembly, your board clears, your Reckless Fury, your Shield Slam, you know, just a lot of things to synergize with your armor. And then, I mean, your key card for the Quest Warrior, I mean, it's just a quest. And then you do have a lot of taunts. Phantom Militia is very strong because it lets you play 3 taunts maybe in the late game or 2 for 6 mana, which is great. Deathlore actually plays a good part in this because it gets somebody out, which you can board clear right after, so it's not half bad. So yeah, boys, let's jump into some tech choices. Alright guys, so for the tech cards, we do have 5 cards. So starting off will be the Mega Assembly. So this will be really strong for late game. You really never want to use it on early unless you're super desperate. Then you have the Devastate if you're having trouble with like mid-range. If there's still minions on board that you wish you could have cleared, Devastate would do it for you. Mind Control Tech against the aggro, but I would say there's a little bit better way, so maybe hold off on the Mind Control Tech for now. Gorehowl, if you just want to chop things up, man, it might not be necessary because of the Collider, but Gorehowl is still a very strong tool, and it could also hit face if you need it. And then Big Game Hunter, the only way this warrior deck really loses if it has some big beefy minions that it can kill, maybe like even Warlock could just make a problem. So yeah, boys, that's it. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and you're a real ass Nimba if you made it to the end. And I'll see you guys on the next one.